Hey everybody, good morning. Good morning. It's day 73. Day 73. Hello everybody. Spiritual healthcare time. It is of course 10 a.m. Mountain Time here in Edmonton, and I hope you guys are doing really well and have had a great evening, afternoon, morning, whatever it is, wherever you are. I hope you guys have had a amazing last 24 hours, despite of course, all of the heavy stuff that's been on the news over the last little bit. So we're going to be talking a lot today about some brand new things. Good morning, Patricia and Kaz and Dan and Marge. Everybody, nice to see you. Good, welcome. I'm stoked today about a brand new piece of research that has come in regards to the paranormal and consciousness, and I want to chat about that a little bit. Had another great question come in about the Ouija board, so we'll talk about that. And we'll talk about the law of sacrifice, which is not what people think it is. It's going to be something it's something a little bit new. So it'll be really, really good. Good morning, Sally. Nice to see you from Texas. I hope everybody's doing awesome this morning. It's been I don't know about you guys. I was super, super tired. Brandy's asking if that is a birthday sign for Galen in the background. Yes, it is. Let me move my chair. Hold on. There we go. That's the corner of it. Yeah, it was his birthday on June the 2nd, and it's still up. It is still up. He is so full of food right now. So full of food. He didn't even get out of bed yesterday. He was just done. He was just done. He had a very good 16th birthday. Ate lots, opened his presents, had a blast, and it was really good. And the weather held out enough that he was at least able to go out and sit on the balcony for a while. And we hung out, and it was great. But yeah, he is so full of food. 16 years old. I'm telling you, it's like, doesn't matter whether the teenager is a python or a human. As soon as it's like they hit 16 and they just eat. So I don't know. But yeah, it was really, really good. Brandy says, happy birthday, Galen. I will pass that on to him. Everybody sent such amazing messages to him on Facebook. Thank you all who sent in messages to him. I read all of them to him. And I know he was thrilled. I think he was surprised that he got so many birthday messages from all these people he's never met. So one of these days we're gonna do a spiritual healthcare in the evening so that he can come and co-host with us. I think is what needs to happen. He needs to come and co-host a show. I don't know how long it'll last. He'll probably take off after about 5 to 10 minutes, but we'll see. We'll see how he goes. So, but yeah, today I'm excited about this because there was a brand new piece of research that has come in, and it was published in a journal called Neuron, and Neuron is like a science journal. Where they publish these brand new studies. They're doing stuff about the COVID-19 vaccine, and all like how to get a good night's sleep and all of that stuff. And it's all like brain work. It's really cool. So I was really excited about this piece of research because there's been a question. We've talked about this before in spiritual healthcare, that's come from David Chalmers, who's a sort of a philosopher, and he named what they call the hard problem, which is consciousness fundamental, emergent? Does it come from the brain? Does it come from elsewhere? And so I thought this was really, really cool. So what they decided to do, the scientists decided to do, was try to understand what part of the brain is actually, whether it be translating consciousness or generating consciousness, depending on what side of that argument that you fall on. What they did was they used macaque monkeys, because macaque monkeys, our brain function is very similar. Our brain structure is very similar to macaque monkeys. And they put them out with anesthesia. And what they did was they started to stimulate the macaque's brain at about 50 hertz or so. And what they found was that the central lateral thymus actually started to function as if it was completely awake. It was completely awake. And even though the monkey was completely still under anesthesia, his brain started to act like it was completely conscious. And they couldn't believe it because this should not have happened. But the main point of this study was not only to understand at what point the brain is translating this consciousness, but also to deal with parts of the brain that are blocked or damaged or injured in some way that's stopping that translation. So this was such a cool discovery, because once we start to understand that, people with brain injuries or brain trauma or anything like that, we start to open up a brand new door. So this was really neat. So as they're kind of fine-tuning this approach, they're going to be able to really narrow down the fields of consciousness where this actually exists, what parts of the brain are responsible for determining, that translation or, that projection of consciousness. And it's becoming a really, really, really big deal. So we'll see where that goes. Of course, they've got to do a lot more MRIs, electrophysiology studies, all of that, to figure out exactly, what this is going to mean in the long run. But I had to share that with you guys, because, as I say, this is such a cool piece of information. And I think as we move forward in our discovery of, excuse me, oh, allergies. As we begin to move forward in all of this, all of these studies and all of these people that are working towards understanding that central lateral thymus, I think it's going to be a big deal. So this is really good. So I had to tell you guys about that. I posted the article on the Entity Seeker Facebook page, so you guys can read it and check it out and go through it, because it's a cool piece of research. And I think the more they delve into this, the better. There's a amazing neurologist in Toronto, Canada, who has been working on a very similar thing over the last number of years, and he has been looking at understanding how the brain is translating consciousness when it is under the duress of Alzheimer's and dementia and brain injury and stuff like that. And what his theory has been, and I'll touch on this briefly, and I think why this is so important and what these people are doing is so important, is because they're beginning to understand that when there is brain damage of some sort, or there is sort of a removal of the filters through which our mind interprets our reality, then we begin to have more psi experiences. It just becomes more accessible to us. So it's really cool. And so I had to pass it on to you guys. So the other question that I wanted to grab this morning, which I thought was really awesome, it was a question from Dan, and we were talking about Ouija boards this morning, and I thought this was really great, and why Dan was saying, it's probably not a good idea to be provoking entities and things like that. And I thought this was a great lead in to the law of sacrifice, which I'm going to talk about in a bit. And what we do, what to do when sitting down with a Ouija board, when sitting down to channel, all of these different things. What do we do? And how do we set that up without provoking or poking the bear, so to speak, in the wrong areas? And the first part of this, I think, that's so important is intention. I think at the end of the day, intention is really, really what is a definitive factor in doing anything with non-physical energy or science or psi or anything like that. Setting our intentions, set a mission statement. What are you trying to accomplish? And not only what are you trying to accomplish, why do you want it? That's a really big one too. Some people will go as far as to say, well, I want to, talk with somebody who's passed over, or I want to, have this amazing experience that I've never, I've heard other people have these experiences. I want to have one of these experiences. But following that question up with why is something that I think very few people really do. Why do you want to have the experience? And that question will ultimately determine how you move into this realm of non-physical. Of course, it's something that we don't control. It's something that is, we don't get to, tell these other entities what to do and how to do it. And I think in order to set our intention and to set that vibe in the right direction, we have to really understand our inner why. Why are we doing this thing? In the same way that we would, move into a new job or move into a a new relationship or a new whatever it is. Why do you want it? Why do you want it? Are you trying to fill up a hole that's broken, or are you coming into it excited about a brand new experience? So we have to be able to take a step back and understand that. And then, for things like the Ouija board, for things like channeling, anything like that, it really does come back to that whole thing about being in that being the thing and being the energy that you want to pull in and attract. That's really what it is. And that's going to determine the level that you're experiencing or on which you're experiencing whatever phenomenon ends up happening. It really is. Good morning, Jay. Good morning, Ed. I know it's like I'm seeing like new people come in. Good morning, you guys. So that really is what this is about, is being able to answer the question why, not just what, but why, and to move into it aware that the energy that we're bringing in, including all our brokenness, including our broken pieces, is going to attract us a new experience. And we see this, if we want to look at it in a practical sense, we see this with people who, say, for example, have left an abusive relationship and roll right into the next one. I'm sure some of you guys have noticed this with friends and whatnot sometimes, where, you'll see them, just get rid of a really bad relationship, and it seems like days later they're rolling into another one, and it has elements or factors or whatever of the same behavior in the same person. And it's literally because we're just rolling that same energy into the next thing without doing anything to clean up our stuff, anything to clean up our baggage. So we see the same thing with the paranormal and the Ouija board and channeling and stuff like that. It's really the same stuff. So that would be my advice with Ouija board stuff, is to be able to ask those questions, and get yourself as excited and as joyful and as happy as you can, and then step into the interaction, because, oh my God, it can be so amazing, so cool. Everybody puts down the Ouija board and stuff like that. Don't put down the Ouija board. It's great. But you got to come into it with the right energy. So, I wanted to touch on today something that we haven't really talked about too much. And we've been kind of moving through the universal laws and stuff like that. And this one is interesting. And I think it's the most misconceived in all of them. And that is what they call the law of sacrifice. And the misconception is you have to give up something that you love, give up something that you really want, you make this sacrifice is like this just throwing away of something that you want in order for the greater good or something like that. And that's not what it is at all. What it really comes down to is giving up the story or giving up the behavior or whatever that is that's making you sick in order to get what you want. Now, this seems something that is super obvious, right? Like, how many of us do want to stay sick or give up what it is that we, that isn't working for us? But what's interesting about this is that the idea and the practice of giving up old habits that actually filled a space or filled a routine for us is really, really hard sometimes, especially when those old stories have become an identity. When I've been interviewing, especially at hospitals and things like that, whether it's, in regards to, a TV show, or whether it's in regards to a haunted place. There's a really great hospital here in Edmonton. It's a rehabilitation hospital where there are residents that actually live there. They actually live in this hospital. And usually it's people with chronic conditions and stuff like that. And what's interesting is that when I go to sit down and talk to them about their paranormal experiences, they don't want to initially talk about their paranormal experiences at all. They have no interest in it. What they want to talk about is every single thing that's wrong with them, because what's happened is that those things that have been wrong with them have become their identity. It's like they're going to tell you about, the pain in their legs that they can't get rid of. They're going to tell you about who they are through their illness, because their illness has now become a part of them. And then they'll tell you their paranormal story. then somewhere along the line they will get to the fact that they've had something anomalous happen to them. But oftentimes the people, they want to tell you every single thing that is wrong with them, why they're in the hospital, what they're there for, how long they've been there, the hardships they face there. And that has become a reflection of who they are. And people that typically are chronically ill, oftentimes you'll see this behavior, and the vibration just gets perpetuated and perpetuated and perpetuated. So it's very interesting, because if you turn around and ask them, somebody like that, and these are extreme cases, of course, but if you turn around and you ask somebody like that, are you willing to stop identifying with the thing that is making you sick, whether it be something mentally, or whether it be like something that's mentally making you ill and causing you to behave in a bad way, or something that's actually creating a physical manifestation? Are you ready to give up the story about what it is that's happening? And a lot of people have a very hard time with that. Very, very hard time with that, because that identification has become basically melded in and obscured. It's obscured their sense of self. It's obscured their personal truth. And, without that, they start to question, well, what then am I worth? If I don't have this story, if I can't tell you my backstory, if I can't tell you how many times people left me, or I can't tell you how many times people abused me, or I can't tell you, how long I've been ill, and all of these things, they will struggle with then, what is myself? What is myself? What is my sense of worth? If I have not suffered and I have not sacrificed, then what? But the law of sacrifice is about being able to let that go in order to make space for the thing and the experiences that you want to have. So we touched on this a little bit yesterday, which is, how much room are we giving for this stuff to actually show up in our experience? And what's interesting, when I talk to people who have lost individuals who are looking to have that relationship back again, what's interesting about that is that so many times I have to really get to the hard questions, which is, are you willing to give up and move through the grief? Are you willing to move through the grief so that you can have space for the new experience with this person that has now passed over? Have you made the room? Or is all of the what is now in the way of you having this new experience? If you are stuck back on missing them, if you are stuck back on grieving, if you are stuck back, all of these things, if you're stuck back there, you've left no room to have the new experience with them. There's just no space for them to have that connection with you. So this is the heart of the law of sacrifice. What are we willing to give up? Are we willing to give up what makes us sick in order to start the new thing? And we're seeing this on such a massive level right now in the world, where we've had old behaviors, old patterns of thinking, old ways of doing things that we have been stuck in. We've been stuck in, and it's toxic. And we have to be able to learn to move through those things, do a different thing in order to get the thing that we want. But we have to give up the old thing that we are used to, that we are comfortable in, that we have that we're rutted into sometimes. Sometimes that's a hard one. It can be a really difficult thing to experience. So I wanted to give you guys a great example of this from the amazing Abraham Hicks. Ask and it is given today. I found a fantastic passage that I love, and I fall back on this a lot in rough times. I love this example, and I wanted to share it with you guys as well, because I think this is so key. Consider this question. If I'm in Phoenix, Arizona, and it's my desire to be in San Diego, California, how would I go about getting to San Diego? The answer to this question is easy to hear. No matter what your mode of transportation, by air, by car, or even on foot, you will face in the direction of San Diego, and you will continue to move in the direction of San Diego, and therefore you must reach San Diego. If you head towards San Diego, but then you lose your sense of direction, and you head back towards Phoenix, then you get turned back around again, and you just head towards San Diego. You get confused again, you head back towards Phoenix. You could potentially spend the rest of your life experience just moving back and forth. And you could conceivably never arrive in San Diego. But because of your knowledge of direction, and with the help of road signs and other travelers, it is not logical that you would remain forever lost in the Arizona desert, unable to find your way to San Diego. The 400-mile trip between the two cities is easily understood, and the idea of making the trip is completely believable. And if it were your desire to make that trip, you would find a way to do so. We want you to understand that the trip between wherever you are, on any subject, and where you desire to be, is easily attainable as the trip from Phoenix to San Diego. And once you understand how to discern where you are along the way, it makes it a lot more simple. I love this. I love this bit because this is where we're at. This is where we're at. We're all headed to San Diego. We're all headed to San Diego, and we have to be prepared to not only continue in that direction, to move through that, not get discouraged by only getting halfway, but being able to pack the right baggage, pack the right stuff. What is weighing down our car? What do we need to do? What do we need to shed in order to get there? Because if we're going back and forth and we keep getting turned around, and we will get turned around by our own damn story. There's nothing on that road between Phoenix and San Diego that is going to stop us from getting to San Diego. There's nothing. The only thing that can do that is whether or not we decide to turn around and get, confused, and we turn the car around and we give up, or we do whatever. But our stories are the ones that really end up getting us turned around, because there really is no blockage on the road. But the people that, they get halfway there. I think Yuma is about halfway there. And, you get to Yuma, Arizona, and then you realize, well, I'm not in San Diego yet. And you tell yourself a story about not being in San Diego, and then you turn back around and go back to Phoenix. So we've got to be conscious of this. What are we willing to give up to get to the destination? Marge is saying to pack light. Absolutely. That's it. And be light about it. That's the fun thing. We take stuff sometimes so seriously, and to be able to pack light, just be light in general about moving in the direction that you want. Be light about it. Have fun with it. That's the whole point. And that's the whole point of just non-physical energy in general. It's funny because we get so hung up sometimes on the dark side of the paranormal, because half the time as we kind of move through the experience of the TV shows and the films and whatnot, and there's so much fun, and there's so, it's thrilling to get a scare and whatnot, but we lose the lightness and the fun and the joy that is, all of the non-physical experiences that we can have, and we start to take it super, super seriously. And let me tell you, in the field of parapsychology, when you're dealing with the people who are the academics and the teachers and the scientists that are parapsychologists that are on the front lines of all of this, they're looking in a different direction than the media. They really are. A good friend of mine, Dr. Cal Cooper, has spent his entire career studying the relationship between the paranormal and hope. Like, it's just the coolest thing, and how it affects those who have lost people and all of those things. So it's like all of these people, I'm telling you, they're turning in that direction when it comes to the paranormal. And the media has a lot of fun with the scary stuff and whatever, which is always good, but it's neat to see where everybody's turning. So I wanted to offer you guys today, because we've been doing so many of the same health affirmations and stuff like that over the last 73 days. And on day 73, I thought it would be a good idea to introduce a brand new set of affirmations, considering everything that's been going on in the world. And of course, to offer you guys the process today for your journals, to talk about and to start thinking about what is it that you can let go of, that you're packing, that you don't need to be packing. What's the story? What is the story that is making you sick, making you stuck, making you, separating you from what it is that you want, whether it be your joy or your happiness or your bliss or whatever? What is it? What's the thing for you? What's the story you're telling yourself? Start to write it out, figure it out, because it's interesting as we kind of write through our story if we tell ourselves our own story, it's interesting to see how many people immediately go to all the things that have happened to them that are bad. So many people do that. They go right there. So that's what I would encourage you guys to do today is to go to those places where you realize, go to those places, tell yourself your story and see how it sounds. Read it back to yourself. Because sometimes, man, we don't realize what we're telling ourselves. We don't. So I want to introduce to you guys and say a brand new set of affirmations today that I think are indicative of the time that we're in right now. And because we need to progress, we need to move forward just in the same way that the rest of the world is. So I want everybody to take a breath. I am a channel of peace and well-being, and my need for peace is abundantly met. I unconditionally accept, love, and appreciate myself and who I am. I recognize and am grateful for the abundance that is constantly flowing into my life, which I can choose to allow or not. I feel with every breath peace and love. I help others by maintaining and tending to my connection with Source as much as possible. This well-being is accessible to me, even in a sea of uncertainty. At this moment, all is well. I can see and appreciate all of the beauty that surrounds me. I am able to liberate myself from my past and live with peace and serenity. I am able to embrace love while letting go of fear. And I find peace with the soothing silence of my inner being. And everybody take a breath. So everybody, as we move into the new day today is Happy Thursday, of course. I hope this gives you guys something to work on. As I say, check out that article. I'm really excited about this brand new information and discovery of consciousness and its relationship to the brain, because I think it's gonna change things. It's gonna change things. And anybody that has anybody in their life who has been affected by brain injury as well. It's super good. It's super exciting stuff. So I can't wait. Kaz says he loves these new affirmations. I do too. And I think they're exactly on point. I think we got this. We got this, you guys. We've got this. I'm telling you, this is gonna be good. So I will see you guys tomorrow morning on Spiritual Healthcare. We will do this again. We've got more information that's coming down the pipe about all of this. Brand new stuff, brand new discoveries, brand new all of this that is it's going to change our world. We are changing the world, you guys. We are changing the world just little bit by little bit. We have to evolve and we have to change as we're moving into this new experience, because the world is finding its balance again. It's finding its well-being again. Looks like chaos. But it always does. Change always does. So I will see you guys tomorrow morning on Spiritual Healthcare. The playlist is on youtube.com/entityseeker. And the more the playlist gets shared and watched and all of that, it gets better and better. So if you guys can share that would be so great. I would so appreciate it. And I will see you guys tomorrow morning. Have a great day, everybody. Bye.